In the darkness, someone spoke. It's really cold, isn't it? Hey, there's a kid here. Oh, he's dressed quite well. Doesn't look like a beggar. Why would he faint here? They prodded and poked. What are you doing, number 9? You're not developing a thing for kids, are you? Regardless, number 7, look at this kid's bones. They're not bad. We need to find someone anyway. It's a waste if he dies here. Why not just take him back? More prodding and poking. He's a bit lacking, but it doesn't matter if we take him back. He looks like he's about to starve to death anyway. Let's pick him up and go. Alright. What do they mean? What do they mean? What are they talking about? Suddenly, he opened his eyes. His keen senses, honed over time, immediately focused on the gun holstered at the waist of the person leaning over him. His hand shot out, snatching the gun. Instantly, all three froze. The child on the ground tightly gripped the pistol, the man leaning over instinctively raised his hands, and the other man in black reflexively reached for his gun. The sudden burst of murderous intent made them think they had walked into an ambush, but the next moment, the two men exchanged a surprised glance and a dubious smile. Because the child on the ground was too young and frail, the gun's safety wasn't even on, and his fingers could barely reach the trigger. Oh, number 9, your first gun loss recorded on a child, But what a sharp reaction, like a wild beast. He must be very insecure. We found a treasure. Hey, kid, you're not holding the gun right. Before number 7 could finish, a fierce light flashed in the child's eyes. In an instant, he flicked the safety off, and the gun went off. Bang, the bullet pierced through number 9's chest, blood splattering from his back. The recoil of the gun made the child's hands jerk back, and number 7 reflexively drew his gun, but as he aimed at the child, disbelief filled his mind. It couldn't be this child, who was attacking us. This thought caused a momentary hesitation, then gunshots rang out simultaneously. Number 7's forehead was blasted open, and he fell backward, while the child was hit in the right shoulder, blood instantly soaking half his body. Trembling in the pool of blood, the child struggled to stand. He had been shot in the same place not long ago, but why did it hurt so much this time? However, the pain was not his biggest problem. His biggest problem was where he was, and such small hands. Looking at his left hand gripping the gun, he murmured, clearly a child's hand, and his height had obviously become that of a dwarf. The night wind was bitterly cold. Looking around, he was on the streets of some very backward town, with old-fashioned buildings and dim streetlights. He felt his energy draining from his fragile body, and he probably wouldn't last much longer. Memories of the past flashed through his mind, recalling what the Fire Phoenix had said, then you will have a chance at freedom. A chance at freedom. Many things were now beyond sorting out. Far away, the sound of sirens grew louder. He habitually wiped the fingerprints off the gun and placed it back in number 9's hand, then walked a few steps while holding his shoulder, and then the world began to spin around him. In a haze, he remembered his childhood. In fact, his own memories began at the age of 10, as that's when the training for killers started at Pologa. Before that, there were no memories or clues. Later, he learned that every child brought to Pologa had their previous memories erased. Such brainwashing techniques, if reversed at the time, might have restored some memories, but for him, it was meaningless. It only strengthened his resolve to rebel. From the age of 10, he watched various animals kill each other daily, interspersed with basic knowledge of being a killer. Then, starting with a knife, he engaged in life-and-death battles with animals, elimination rounds, and then competition with others. He was never the best, but somehow, he survived. It was a miracle. Of course, he was perhaps destined to rebel in the future, as his heart had never been at peace. Those memories had not been touched for a long time, but now they surfaced clearly. In the darkness, the struggling girl with a slightly puffy face. Please, don't kill me, please, don't kill me. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. Instinctively, he reached for his waist, but a sharp pain in his right hand made him switch to his left. He looked at it repeatedly. I've really become a child. He reached for his waist again, where a scar from a moment of mercy had once been, his first kill and injury. Now, the scar was gone. Glancing around, he was in a rather old-fashioned hospital room, close to evening. Through the window, the setting sun was a deep red, and all he could see were old buildings. On a nearby white wall was a daily Tirov calendar, its pages still fresh, November 3, 1991. He wasn't too surprised, just frowned slightly, then smiled faintly. After a moment, the smile grew, and he laughed silently, his body trembling. Freedom, rebirth. At this moment, he truly felt it. Now, recalling his memories, he also started at Pologa in November 1991. That night, the two men, number 7 and number 9, must have been the ones who sent him to Pologa. In his previous life, he knew nothing, but in this life, his early awakening changed everything. His shoulder, still bandaged, throbbed with pain, but it was nothing to him now. He tried to open the cabinet next to the bed, looking for something to confirm his current identity, but found only 2 sets of clothes, a thermos lunchbox, and some fruits. Thinking for a moment, he crawled to the foot of the bed and indeed, there was a nameplate. Gu Jiaming. A very ordinary name. A